Good morning and welcome back to another episode of RSI in the Classroom. This is episode 4 and we're going to be talking a little bit about auto-graded assignments. Are they good or are they bad? Now, before I answer that question, let me just give you a quick reminder of what the purpose of RSI is. Now remember, it's regular and substantive interaction, but the key idea is that RSI is ensuring that we as instructors are monitoring our students and engaging with our students on a regular basis. And by doing that, that means that we directly need to be monitoring and engaging with the students. And so when we look at things like auto-graded quizzes or even supplements from our publisher, we have a product that we use in English where students practice their grammar. It's what they call Smart Book, where they're reading, but they're also engaging by answering questions as well as reading. And all of these examples are auto-graded. And it's nice because it allows for the students to engage with the course content without a lot of work from myself. Now that sounds bad, but in a sense it's not, because I make sure that in other areas, which I've been showing you in these videos, that I am engaging with my students. It's okay for us to have auto-graded content and what they call it, adaptive learning content in our class, which we don't directly engage with students. So the key thing to remember here is that we're not saying that things that you are doing are bad. That's not what we're saying when we're thinking about RSI. What we're saying is, what are you going to be doing to address the RSI in your class? It doesn't have anything to do with all the other things that you're doing. It only is dealing with what you may not be doing and add that in with the rest. So I want to quickly show you a quick list of what RSI is not, but it doesn't mean that that's bad online learning. And so let's jump in here really quick and take a quick look at this list. And so this list I'll share with you in the newsletter, but basically when we look at these activities, they're not bad activities, they're just not RSI. They're not regular, they're not substantive interaction with the instructor. Okay? Remember, it has to be initiated by the instructor, it has to be regularly scheduled and substantive. So assigning recorded videos, podcasts, videos, and reading materials without instructor-initiated interaction. And so basically we all do this. We say, read chapter 5 or watch this video. And then we think, well, I don't even know if they're watching the video, so let me put it in computer or into Canvas Studio and add a few questions to it that are auto-graded. That's got to be better. Yes, it is better, but it's not RSI. And that's all we're saying here. So keep doing these things, but consider what it is that you're going to be doing to establish or to engage with your RSI in your online courses. All right, here are some other things on the list. Assigning course readings only without commentary, contact with instructor not related to course subject matter. That's when the students just pop by and they say hi and you end up talking about all kinds of other stuff. I had a great conversation with a student yesterday that 5 minutes on his question, and then the rest of the conversation was about podcasting and podcast programs that we've both listened to. Not directly related to the course, it's journalism, but still, but it was nice. It was nice to get to know the student. Adding numerical grades to the grade book. So students do things in class and you just then put a score in the grade book. Students don't always connect those two things of what they did in class and then this number that pops up in their grade book. So you want to make sure that you add explanations to your grades. And again, it's okay to do that occasionally, but then do the other that counts as RSI on a regular basis as well. Reminding students of the course attendance policy. I do that when students are absent. I have a canned response that I just send to them, and it's basically reminding them that they missed and this is the policy. That's not counting. I'm regularly sending them information, but it's not counting as RSI. posting an announcement about an upcoming assignment deadline, providing an open-ended online forum that is not moderated by the instructor. That might be an FAQ that you might have in your class. And then sharing personal anecdotes unrelated to the academic course concept. I'm sure we all are guilty of doing that on occasion, but as long as we're doing the other things, it's okay. We're trying to personalize the course and make ourselves seem real to them. We're not just this entity that's out there to get them or to give them stuff to do. All right, so let's take a quick look at this auto-graded concept. So I've already been showing you a lot of my courses, and in this case, I'm in a journalism class, and you can see that in the very beginning of this class, or the beginning of this module, I have a couple of pages that they need to read. You can see here that they're required to view it, and they're required to mark this one done. And then I set them up for success by giving them content. Now this content, this lecture, is a video in Canvas Studio. And so students will come on to this page, they will click Get Started and start watching the video. And the quiz that they take, the questions are embedded in the video. And then after they take the quiz, I can look at the analysis of the quiz and see how my students are doing with answering the questions. And so I can also see how much time they've spent. I can see which questions they're getting right and which ones they're getting wrong. And all of that good stuff is useful to me, right? And it's good for the students because I'm holding them accountable for watching that video and answering a few questions. Now, although this is all good, I'm not counting this as RSI. It is regular, right? But it's not initiated by me. And so one of the questions that was asked towards HLC and the Department of Education was, does this type of activity count? And if you recall, in the video or in the newsletter last week, I showed you an FAQ that we got from Bobby Johnstone on campus here, and that was one of the questions. How does HLC use, or the USDE consider an automated grading system that provides feedback based on a program response? And so I talked a little bit about how you can change the feedback to say, great job, I like how you answered that question, whatever. But that is not you. The answer to that question is no, because the interaction with the student is between the student and a computer, not with an instructor. And so that's the reason why they're not considering it RSI. But as I've said already twice, 3 times maybe, it's okay. It's good to use it. It works. So back on my example, that's one of the things that I get students started with in the beginning of the week. They're engaging with the content, not necessarily with me, but it's okay. So they practice their AP study guides and do some auto-graded quizzes there. They watch my lecture, auto-graded quizzes. But then by the middle of the week and towards the end, it's time for me to participate with them. And so in the first or second episode, I talked about how I use my discussions as my regular and substantive interaction. So it's not like everything you do has to be part of RSI. It's what are the 2 things that you're going to choose to use to engage with your students. So just to recap, do all of these things. What RSI is not saying that these things are bad. Do them. But then think about your 2 things to add to that. And that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching.